project. It is something that, people often dream big, but the execution becomes impossible. People give up on their dreams, or they take a plan and put it on a shelf. It gets dusty over years, and it feeds the cynicism that government can't get things done anymore. Well, we're here to say that that era is over. We're turning these old tracks into something remarkable. A clean, fast, 14-mile light rail line, a connection between Brooklyn and Queens like never before. We're calling it the Interborough Express, IBX. Like I said, it's been talked about for more than 30 years. Most of you were not even alive then. But it's also not just about creating the track, the stations, all the work that's going to be involved, like lifting up about 48 bridges, which is quite extraordinary in itself. It's about creating connections between communities. This is about bringing people together, that the outer boroughs are now joined, that there's not a requirement that if you want to go see your mother in Queens from Brooklyn, that you have to go into Manhattan first. Now, Manhattan is a lovely place, but why did people envision a world where you had to go there first to be able to come out to another borough? That will not be the future. IBX will deliver for 900,000, nearly 1 million people who live in this corridor and hundreds of thousands who work nearby. They'll be able to make those connections seamlessly, be able to get one part of Brooklyn to Queens much faster than ever would before. And we're talking about shaving off a lot of time. In fact, from when we first unveiled this, we've already found ways to save another 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Let's make it 12. See, that's what I do to people. Everybody's real proud of what they do, and I'm like, we can do a little bit better, a little bit faster, a little bit smarter. But the IBX will change everything with connecting 17 subway lines, 50 bus routes, and the Long Island Railroad, all one seamless connection. It'll open up a whole new world of opportunity without adding traffic on our clogged roads. Like I said, it'll serve about 160,000 riders a day. And get this, a ride from end to end will take 32 minutes. 10 minutes less than the initial estimate, 32 minutes. Riders will save 30 minutes each way. If you're a round-trip commuter, guess what? That's an hour. An hour back in your life. To be able to see your kids a little bit longer at the end of a workday. To be able to maybe go for a run in the morning, a little exercise. We all need it. Pack school lunches. So I'm so proud of this because it's all about lifting up people's quality of life. That is what I'm dedicated to. Keep people safe, but making them have a phenomenal life here in the great state of New York. This is one step forward. So today, here's the next big step. Officially kicking off the design team, project design phase, thanks to a $166 million state investment. That means a lot of planning is going to occur. Looking at the stations, tracks, vehicles, signals, so we can get shovels in the ground and make this become a reality. Now, I got something for all the naysayers. Know this about me. When I say I want something done, it happens. So the era of waiting, dreaming, speculating, wondering why not, I say it's going to happen. We brought many, many other projects to life, or completed projects in the making. The third track on the Long Island Railroad was initiated before, but we got it done on time and under budget. Long Islanders have a one-seat ride to the east side with Grand Central Madison. We opened that together. One thing I'm really proud of when you talk about infrastructure, and I love infrastructure, the Gateway Tunnel. How many presidents and governors of New Jersey and New York and mayors did we go through before we finally got it launched? It's happening, my friends. We also implemented congestion pricing that's been talked about since, I think, Mayor Bloomberg was in office. And I applaud everybody for their patience. We got it done. And those are ways that we help make our city smarter, more efficient, a better place to live. We're also advancing the 2nd Avenue subway extension, talked about, I think, since the 1940s. That's how we serve transit deserts in Harlem. We also just, and this summer, announced more progress on our steps to have a brand new Midtown bus terminal. So no longer do you have to go past that eyesore and say, why? Why does the great city of New York have this as our primary way to transport people on buses? We kicked off construction in May after years of inaction. And we got the White House to move ahead on Penn Station. Something I had conversations with the president about in my congratulatory call back in November. Meetings about it in November, March, phone calls again recently, saying, let's get this moving. Now, they're going to need a lot of help from the MTA, right, Jano? But we'll be great partners, and I'm really proud that they're picking up the entire tab. Yay, save some money for us here. So even having the partners in government at the federal level taking a major, major role in getting this done is something I'm enormously proud of. So what I say is we're finally restoring people's faith in government to deliver on grand ideas. You know, some call this the abundance agenda. Everybody's talking about the abundance book, right? This is how I've always operated. This is not new to me. It's how I've lived my life as a government official for over 30 years. We're turning bold ideas into real results and transforming the way New Yorkers live, commute, and travel, and giving people time and creating more and more jobs. Now, I want to commend the MTA for the engagement with the community. This is critically important. This is a big change. It's going to be disruptive. We get that. This is when you bring in the community this early in the process. You've had open houses, hosted pop-ups, met with residents and business owners, because you have to build trust and communication to make sure this is ultimately successful with community buy-in. And last year, we promised to secure funding for the MTA capital plan. That was expensive, Jano, very expensive. $68.4 billion, but every penny is necessary to deliver what New Yorkers deserve, have waited for too long, and to make up for decades of disinvestment when there was not the political courage to finally do what's right. So we're getting that done as well. And also within that, we covered half the funding already. So those who say it won't happen, the IBX, $2.75 billion already committed. That's how you get it done. So many of you stood with us back in, you were there back in January of 2022. I think I've been governor just a few months. One of those projects says, Jana, what do you got out there? What's something new and exciting he won't expect to move ahead? He put this in front of me. I said, done. We're going for that one. Some of you had doubts, but I'm here today to say that this project, this next critical step, is truly moving forward. So let's keep building. No more talking. Let's get it done. And let's continue to show New Yorkers what bold vision looks like, but not just a vision, what the implementation and reality is also looking like in just a few years from now. Thank you, everyone, for keeping the faith. Let's get it done.
Governor, first of all, I got to acknowledge not just your passion, and I'm going to talk about in a second, but in addition to amazing elected officials, we have standing behind us transit advocates. It's one thing that New York's got that almost nowhere else has got, which is people who are passionate about transit, making a difference every day. I just want to shout out the transit advocates who are standing behind us along with our elected official leadership. Listen, Governor, you just said it. The IBX has always been a passion project for you. I remember that meeting barely a couple weeks after you came into office, where we went over what the MTA was already working on and potential projects for the future, and you fastened on this project. It was your passion for this idea of connecting people and saving people time was evident from day one, and this project would not be possible without that, along with your commitment to the $68 billion MTA capital program. And again, tip of the hat to all the elected standing behind who supported you as you pushed that through the budget and the whole legislative process. As I said at our board meeting this week, and I just want to say this very clearly, You are perhaps the most impactful governor on transit since Nelson Rockefeller left office more than 50 years ago. And New Yorkers are going to see the legacy of the Hochul era in mass transit for generations to come. The IBX, thank you. The IBX is a big-time expansion of our transit system. We made the discussion about the capital program state of good repair, right? Because we have to rebuild what's old and neglected in this system that our forebears, predecessors, governors, or whatever didn't get to. But this is a big-time expansion. It's not just a shiny object like some expansion projects. There are almost 1 million people living in the neighborhoods along the route, plus another 260,000 who work nearby. And it makes no sense that they have to cross the river to Manhattan. You said it well. Having a more direct transit option with transfers to 17 different subway lines and all those bus routes and Long Island Railroad stations is going to change people's lives. And we're thrilled that two great engineering organizations, Jacobs and FDR, are taking on this massive project right now. This is going to be the first end-to-end rapid transit line built in the city of New York since the G opened in 1937. And the stations will be the first built in Brooklyn since the 40s, and the first in Queens since we got the end of the E line in the 1980s. New York has not been building transit. You are the abundance governor that's putting us back in the building new transit business. You know, I always say this, like one of the things I love best about this project is that we get to get more transit out of the infrastructure we have. We love our friends who operate freight trains along here, but oh my God, look around. This is where we're going to take an existing underutilized infrastructure asset and turn it into so much more transit. But great as it is, there's a lot of work to convert. Governor and I were talking about the 40-plus bridges and the tracks and the signals and the elevators and the stairways and on and on and on, the connections to the existing subway. We're going to have to get it done, and that's where, obviously, the capital program comes in. But don't kid yourself. Today is a huge milestone. I am so proud that we're moving back into the transit building business, expansion business, and I look forward to coming back here with you and not very grown-up baby Nina to celebrate the groundbreaking not too long from now. So thank you to everybody who's made this possible, especially Governor Hochul.
Please welcome to the podium Queens Borough President Donovan Richards.
All right, well, good morning, Brooklyn. Never thought I would start my morning saying that, but it is Queens in the house. Yeah. All right, Queens is in the house, definitely. I want to first start by thanking Governor Hochul. Let's give it up for Governor Hochul for not only bringing us all together, but putting her money where her mouth is. And of course, to my brother, I have to acknowledge he's not here, Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso. Thank you for stamping all of our passports here in Brooklyn this morning. And thank you for your leadership, brother, and partnership in getting this done. And, you know, it takes a lot for us to cross the border to be here. So our existence should tell you how much the IBX means to people from Queens. Not only do we want the IBX, we need the IBX. Now, most of the time when we talk about transit deserts in Queens, we talk about the Rockaways or Rosedale or Bayside, but there are other neighborhoods that are transit deserts as well. We talk about Middle Village, Glendale, and Ridgewood. They're right up there too. But this is where the IBX comes in. Instead of having to travel through Manhattan, and make no mistake, Manhattan is actually the outer borough now. To get to Brooklyn, we're talking about a 40-minute end-to-end straight shot between our boroughs. We're talking about cutting commute times in half, if not more. And we're talking about opening up new job and economic opportunities that have never existed before. And make no mistake that Jackson Heights has some of the best food. So we look forward to our Brooklyn people coming to spend their money in Queens. The IBX is a direct investment in making both Queens and Brooklyn boroughs where you can live, work, and play without having to leave. But cutting commute times is also an investment in ensuring our families have more time together at home. And as a working dad from a transit desert myself, I cannot put into words how much and how meaningful it is just to have an extra hour with our families. All of that plus connection to 17 different subway lines and the Long Island Railroad make the IBX a game changer. And let's also talk about the impacts on climate change. If you want to get people out their cars, you have to give transit access to communities. If you want to cut these emissions to get people out their cars, this is one way of doing it. So I know I've been a supporter since day one. We talked about January 2020. I remember that day, and I know Brooklyn Borough President Reynoso was there as well, and that's because we both see the kind of potential this IBX project can unlock for both of our boroughs. Governor Hochul recognizes that too, and I can't thank her enough once again for her vision and leadership, and we have a running theme in Queens. Queens get the money. She always brings her checkbook, so I want to thank you for that. And the same goes for Jano Lieber. We got our bus redesign plan done. It's running smoothly, $40 million in excess in capital to Queens bus redesign. Thank you for making that happen. Now that we finally have the engineer in place, I can't wait to see the official plans. We're one step closer to putting shovels in the ground. All aboard. Congratulations to everyone who got us here.
I also want to acknowledge the person who's driving this initiative from my administration, our head of state operations, Catherine Garcia. Kathy, you want to say anything while you're up here?
The only thing I want to say is that I am so committed to helping fulfill the governor's vision. All of what she talks about is how do we have more housing, more jobs, more time with our families. And this is going to be a complicated project. And we are going to need to take the time to get the engineering right. But I think you can see her vision here today about how we move this forward. So thank you very much again, Governor Hochul.
Thank you for joining us.
That concludes our program. Thank you for attending. We look forward to seeing you again.